In this video, I'm going to talk you through how I painted this beautiful Tulip Magnolia using oil paints. So I begin with a yellow background, and I really like painting on a yellow surface when I'm doing flowers. And here you can see I'm using some transparent colours very loosely to scrub in some of those background colours. Now I will be going over that, as you can see here, with some opaque white. And what I'm actually doing is blending directly onto the canvas. So I've got those lovely thin transparent colours in there, and then I'll go over that with thick opaque white and sort of blend those tones together. I'm using a bristle brush to really scrub that paint in. At this stage I don't want the paint going on too heavy. Once I'm happy, I'll use a mop to soften everything. To get that lovely bokeh effect, I'm using titanium white and a little bit of finger paint in here. I really do advise you wear gloves if you're wanting to do this, but I'm just gently rubbing those lovely circles into that undercolour and then going back over that with a mop. And this is really giving me that lovely bokeh effect. You can see I'm just using a Q-tip to erase back so I don't lose my stems. Now I'm starting with some magenta, and I'm slowly going around the details of these magnolias, just getting those dark tones in to begin with, and then over the top of that I'll go with that thicker opaque white colour. And again, the idea behind this is to blend directly onto the canvas. I'll add touches of turquoise to that white to give a little bit of a bluish tint in places. As I build up the details, I'll start going thicker and thicker with that application of white. Here I'm using a lovely flat brush with a sharp chiselled edge, and that's giving me all the details I need for the outer edges of those petals. So working on the next flower in exactly the same way, just using that magenta to get the darker areas of the petals, which is lower down and obviously the join between the petals as well. And I'll put a thin coat of that on there and then switch to thicker, more opaque colours. And here you can see I've added a little touch of blue, which is creating a slightly purplish tone over on that left hand side. I'm gradually going thicker and thicker with that paint as I build up these flowers, adding touches of that blue to the white to give some lovely purple tones as well. You can see my strokes in real time, and you can see how deliberate I am with those petal strokes, really taking my time to get a lovely sharp edge on the outer sides of each of those petals. And as the flower nears completion, I'll start to add thicker and thicker, more opaque paint to really pop on those highlights. So starting to detail the stems now, and I'm using burnt umber, and that lovely dark colour is really contrasting against that light background. Of course, I'm also going back and picking out highlights using a liner brush. Once I've got that dark colour in place, I'll use a liner brush to rim light with a highlighted colour. And this will help pull it away from the background to really create that depth and distance. I'll work on the final magnolia in exactly the same way, starting with that magenta and then building up those thicker highlights and carefully rubbing that highlight colour into that magenta underneath. And this is the beauty of oils, is that you're able to work wet onto wet to get some really soft blends. Using thicker paint and a lovely sharp chiseled brush, a sharp chiseled flat brush, to get those final edges on those petals. This is one of the brushes from the MazArt range. I've got those basic colours in there and some lovely soft blends. I'll go back and add some darker details using that magenta. And here you can see I'm just brushing a little bit of pale grey, and again that adds a little shadow into these flowers. If you are enjoying this tutorial, you'll love my 5 flower portraits in oils, and those are available in real time over on the MazArt Academy, and I'll leave a link for that in the description box below. So once again, I'm back with that thick titanium white, and I'm really starting to enhance the outer edges of the flowers. And you can see how careful I'm really constructing these shapes of the petals. I'm also adding touches of blue to the white on the left-hand side of the flowers, just to create that slightly cooler side that I can see, and it's got a slightly purplish blue tone. I'm now working on the other stem in exactly the same way, using that lovely dark burnt umber, which contrasts beautifully against that lighter background. As I come to the end of this first part, while everything's still wet, I'll add a few more lighter little circles, using that finger painting again and just creating that lovely bokeh effect. Now that my first layer is completely dry, I'm able to go back and add some details. And of course, it's already very pretty as it is, so you could stop at that lovely wet on wet stage if you wanted to. But I do find that adding some extra layers once your painting is dried can really enhance the painting. So what you're seeing here is I've darkened the background slightly around the flowers, just so that those flowers are really able to stand out. And of course I've added a little bit more of that bokeh effect. Now here I'm using some medium, I'm using Liquid Original, and I've thinned that magenta down and I'm beginning to glaze over some of those areas. And again, you don't have to put a glaze everywhere, you can just cherry pick where you want those details. And now here I'm going with very thick titanium white to really pop out some of the edges. Now I am very careful that I don't cover all that lovely softness that we did in stage 1. We're really just enhancing what we've done by adding some deeper glazes, really strengthening some of our colours. Here you can see I've added a little touch of purple now to really enhance those colours. And then I'll go back over them with that thicker opaque paint and really start to pop on those details. It's very, very important that your painting is completely dried before you start doing any glazing. What we're doing with this glazing is not only introducing a few other transparent colours such as purple, we're also really increasing the saturation, so really deepening those darker colours with these thinned glazes. And of course, now that the painting is completely dry, any white highlights that I pop on are really going to stand out. So here I'm using a liner brush and very thick titanium white to really pop on those final highlights and create those separations with the petals. I'll also use that bright highlight to really strengthen that rim light and help pull these flowers away from that background. Now I'm removing the tape, and here's the lovely final reveal. I'm working on canvas paper here, and this is the final painting. I really do hope you've enjoyed this tutorial, and if you are enjoying the content on this channel, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. Once again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you again in the next video.